Well, thank you so much for taking time out of your, out of your weekend to, to speak with me. Obviously, we're here to talk about, the last thing that Mary saw. I mean, this film is, it's set in 1843, a time which we don't really have much in common with anymore. How did you go about connecting to your roles?
Eduardo sent us a bunch of texts and books he found from people first person living in that time, kind of like journaling type things about their daily life, which was really interesting. So that was actually really helpful, especially when it came to the religious aspect and how their whole life was devoted to God. But I think in a very different way or perspective than a lot of people kind of, or I personally think about that now. It's very like rigid and tightly wound and stuff. From the text that he had found that relate to the movie. Along with that and the accents that we kind of had to develop and figure out, and the wardrobe and everything, that's kind of what did it for us.
And the setting really kind of like clicked everything in. I feel like we were filming in an actual farmhouse that was built during that time period, where like anywhere you stepped, you could hear the entire house creak. And like, it's not like it was in the middle of nowhere, but at that time period, it probably was, but it felt like it was its own world. And we were all we filmed the entire movie there. We only filmed at one other location one day. And so, yeah, everything really felt like we were in this kind of like bubble. It almost felt like at times we went back in time, like, but you would laugh and call cut and like everyone would be like making jokes because we were like in bonnets and like.
There's no cell service. There's none of that. Really.
No, yeah.
It's pretty bare.
I mean, the film is kind of, for me, it was sort of built around these, these two intense scenes. You've got the dinner prep scene with Rory Culkin, and then you've got the tea scene. I mean, what was the feeling like on set? Because when you're sat there watching it, it's so thick with like dread and all sorts.
Did you hear that?
I saw the lightning as well.
God. When we were filming that stuff, it kind of felt like that sometimes. Yeah. I mean, like, oh my gosh. I mean, you do it over and over, but like, I think those scenes were so technical. We prepared for them like a lot ahead of time. Eduardo sent us a movie called Babette's Feast, and that was kind of what he wanted the dinner to sort of feel like. Most of that was you though, the dinner. I was just kneeling on some rice in the corner.
Pretty rough.
It's pretty rough though. And then with Rory, working with him, I mean, that scene we filmed that in one day. And it was cool. He showed up on set and was so prepared. We had like a really great conversation about how that scene was going to go. And it really felt like we had this kind of tennis match back and forth of kind of like, what does the other person want from me out of the situation? And, I feel like those moments really came together in the movie really well. Yeah.
And it almost takes the film to like a stage play sort of feel. It's very, it is very imposed and deliberate.
Mm-hmm. In a sense, this movie I think could totally lend itself to being a stage play, but because there's so much silence within it, and that's such a huge theme throughout, it's like we almost get this like lucky view of having a camera up in everyone's face, because during that time period, I feel like everything was so like Stefanie said, so rigid, and like there were so many rules, and there were so many ways that people felt like
so
they
much
had to
fear as well. How that was
so
kind of like it's control, and that's what they're ultimately trying to do with Mary and Eleanor, is control them through fear and stuff.
Mm-hmm. But they're in fact creating hell for them on earth
while trying to display their devotion to God
and say that you won't end up in hell if you do what we do. Then you'll end up in heaven. But for now, it's going to be a little rough.
Yeah, punishing and all of that torture. It's pretty interesting.
And I mean, Mary spends a portion of the film blindfolded, and Eleanor, loses the power of speech. Eyes and the voice are two of an actor's most crucial talents. How did you guys work around that for those scenes?
I mean presence, just being really present, and I think that's kind of just the key. Again, like you said, the camera can be really close, and that makes it really easy. You don't really have to try to do anything. We're all there in wardrobe and in the moment together, filming a short amount of time. Just kind of gotta like be in flow.
For not speaking, that was really what I felt like helped me the most, was like just doing activities that kept me present on set. So that way I could just be there with Stefanie or with the family or whatever, because it, you know, then I really didn't, you know, I was just in that moment with them. And then, you know, with Stefanie not being able to see, as much as that's like a really dark part of the movie, it was really funny because Stefanie was like being escorted to different areas of the house. And, like, I would walk into our dressing room and she'd be like, hello, who's there? And she had been there for like hours, had no idea how long it had been. She couldn't see anything.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Oh my gosh.
Sorry.
Flash flood warning.
There
Sorry
we go.
for
We're back.
sleeping. I had actual prosthetics on my eyes when my eyes were all bloody and stuff. So I really couldn't see. And they, it took a while to get on and off. So but it was really cool. Honestly, the best part was taking them off at the end of the day and being able to see it again.
It was really funny.
Yeah.
We had great conversations though.
Yeah, very, very, very
Deep conversations.
But I mean, obviously, you know, the film is set in this, you know, in the past, but it does deal with some, you know, topics that are still relevant today. You know, why do you think it's sort of almost easier to explore these themes in a olden day setting?
I guess perspective, and maybe people are more open now, but at the same time, we were kind of talking about this earlier, how it's kind of timeless in a way, how these conversations seem to be able to be had in a lot of different decades, which is actually interesting how relevant all of these topics seem to be. But each time you kind of play them out, I guess it's through a different perspective. I don't know.
Well, love is, you know, love is something that is timeless. I mean, we all experience, you know, love for family, love for people in our lives, you know, and I think that the two of them really have such a deep, beautiful connection because they communicate with each other, which is why her grandmother takes away Eleanor's ability to speak. It's like within this house where everyone is repressed and hiding something and not saying what's on their mind and not talking about what's actually going on. To have two people who are communicating with each other is almost like a threat to this entire bubble that they've created. And, you know, I think it is like silence being a theme in the movie and being a theme sometimes in life is like, you know, being able to, you know, maybe if Mary and her father were able to talk, but that would never happen in the story. And that's why it tears everything apart, you know, and there really is something interesting to be said about, you know, like Stefanie was saying, control. And when people try and control other people and get them to do things that, you know, they don't necessarily want to do, and how that breeds a silence because it's not, you don't feel comfortable to share where you are. And so it really becomes like, you know, it is life or death in a sense for them, that they have to leave together, that they have to get out of this place, which is what drives them to do what they do.
I mean, you also have some chickens for co-stars. What were they like to work with?
I loved the live chickens. I love animals and I love the live chickens. The dead ones smelled so bad. But any day, like that was the thing, those days where I had to like be in the coop with them and they were alive, I loved it. It's fabulous. They were friendly, they were sweet. They kind of kept to themselves. We had a nice like rapport. I took some time to bond with them. I mean,
by the time we were making out and dead chicken juice and feathers and hay, that was kind of gross.
Yeah, I smelled horrible. I smelled really bad.
And we shared that costume of yours.
Yeah, that's true. We did share that costume and I had to go back and forth between it.
Yeah, so it was pretty smelly by the end, to be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, the film's, you know, it's being unleashed on the Fantasia audience. I think it's today, and then Fright Fest in a couple of weeks. What do you hope that the audience experience when they sit down to watch it?
I'm excited to hear what they think and about the questions that Eleanor specifically is asking in the movie about God and love and all of those things. Those very, very big questions, open-ended. I don't know. I guess that's what I'm looking forward to.
Same. I think that the movie is a really like a thought-provoking piece, and like I said, I think in a sense it could lend itself to like a stage play, because I think sometimes movies make a statement, and I love how this movie doesn't necessarily make a statement, it asks a question, which theater I think does so well. But because it's not on a stage and it is in a film, you can like really zoom in on like these characters and really dive into this time period and really feel like you're living in this kind of state of repression and anxiety, and like almost like you're in this bubble with these young women.
I guess finally, where can we see you both next? I know that as well you've got, you're returning to Esther. How's that been going?
It's good. I saw parts of the movie like a month ago, and it's pretty crazy. I am 10 in the movie. I mean, it is trippy to like see, because like at the same time that they made me look 30 when I was 10, and that was crazy, it is crazier, I think, to like realize that they could, that I could still be a 10-year-old. And that also has never been done in a movie before. They've never ever cast an adult to play and reprise their childhood like role. So I was really honored and like grateful to be able to like revisit that part and see it from, from more of an adult perspective and have a different take on it. And then, and still like bring her back, but also play with different themes that the script brought in. And then, yeah, that comes out soon, and I'm really excited about it. And then I have a movie called The Novice that I'm really proud of. We went to Tribeca Film Festival, and Lauren, our director, won Best Narrative Feature. And IFC just picked it up, and it's going to come out in December. And it's like a movie about grit and ambition and drive, and about a young woman who joins her college rowing team and really like pushes herself to be the very best. So yeah, it's exciting. Yeah.
And you, Stefanie, where can we see you next?
I just wrapped a series. It's going to be on Peacock in the fall. It's called Girl in the Woods, and it's pretty cool. It's a cool show. Kristen Ritter directed it, as well as Jacob Chase, and it is, I guess, about a girl who grows up in this cult in the woods, and she's actually a fighter. She has a bionic arm, and there's a lot of really cool stunts, and I got to do a lot of training for it as well, with like MMA and my fighting stuff, and so it was pretty new for me. But the show's really awesome, so I'm excited to see, whatever however it turns out. I'm pretty stoked, honestly.
Well, I look forward to seeing what you both do next. Thank you again for taking the time to speak.
Thank you so much. It's nice to meet you.
Yes, I have to say as well, Stefanie, I am terrified of my MacBook still after that scene in Insidious 3.
Oh my gosh.
It's one of the only things that sort of like that, because it is such a real scenario, with a.
I know. I get creeped out about stuff like that too sometimes, just because I feel like you see stuff in movies. I don't know. I do all the time. I see stuff in movies, scary movies and stuff, just like shadows and things. And then I get like, I feel like I almost like project it into my actual house, where I like think I see something that's not there because I've seen it in a movie or something. Like I like start expecting to see stuff like that happen. I don't know. Yeah.
Well, I will let you get back to your Sunday, and I think your thunderstorm's passed now, so I'll leave you guys to it.
Thank
Cool.
you. Nice to meet you.